Today we got why Putin is scared to deploy the Su-57 aircraft in Ukraine. Let's check it out, man.
It's the most advanced stealth fighter ever developed, capable of defeating any radar ever invented, and it can kill 10 American F-22 Raptors with just one missile, at least if you listen to the Russian Ministry of Defense. But why is an aircraft the Russians claim is more advanced than the American F-22 and F-35 conspicuously absent over the skies of Ukraine, exactly where it's needed the most by Russian forces? The Su-57 is a Russian multi-role fighter that's Russia's first attempt at a fifth-generation aircraft. It was conceived in 1999 after its predecessor, the Mikoil Project 144, proved to be entirely too expensive to actually put into production. The Project 144 was meant to be an answer to America's own F-22, which was at the time nearing completion and initial operational capability.
It make like the only sense I can make of why they wouldn't want to use it is so like America and that won't be able to see how it's done and the technology behind it maybe, but like you're at war. Why would you not? You know what I mean?
However, the collapse of the Soviet Union led to an economic crisis and the project struggled to find adequate funding. The MiG-144 would have its maiden flight in February 2000 and then be cancelled shortly after. The Su-57, NATO codename Felon, was meant to build upon the successes of the 144 and field a true fifth-generation fighter. By now, the United States was starting to churn out the F-22 Raptor, and Russia had no answer to this critical threat. But almost inevitably, the Felon ran into its own financial difficulties, and a program that was meant to produce a fleet of fighters by the mid-2000s would only deliver its first operational aircraft in 2020. Russia couldn't afford to produce the Su-57 on its own, though, and troubles began early when Russia and India signed an agreement to co-develop the aircraft in September 2010.
Oh shit.
As the project evolved, however, Indian engineers voiced serious concerns about the aircraft's capabilities and survivability against American fifth-generation fighters. By 2014, India had lost faith in the Su-57 and formally abandoned the program, leaving Russia to finance it on its own. This immediately put a massive financial strain on Russia, further compounded by sanctions of high-technology goods from the West after its annexation of Crimea. The Su-57 struggled through development, and a fleet once envisioned to consist of over 100 aircraft ended up producing only a dozen or so test models. In 2018, Russia claimed that the Su-57 took part in combat operations in Syria. However, there's no real proof that the jet performed any combat duties in the country.
Do you think they're lying?
It's very likely then that Russia merely deployed the plane there to fly a few non-combat sorties so as to attempt to rouse interest from foreign investors, a very common tactic by the Russian defense industry. With a poorly diversified economy under pressure from sanctions, Russia relies heavily on foreign buyers to fund its weapons development programs. Despite no verifiable proof of the plane's combat record, Russia claims that it partook in combat operations both in Syria and now in Ukraine, where Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu claimed that Su-57s took part in operations to neutralize Ukrainian air defenses, eliminating multiple Ukrainian surface-to-air missile batteries. Since we've all learned that Russia literally never lies ever, this is an impressive feat for an airplane that's technically still in development. What's more impressive about this claim, however, is the fact that the Su-57 is not even believed by Western observers to be a true stealth aircraft, merely one with stealth characteristics. Observers point to difficulties by the Russians in joining panels of the body together tightly enough to reduce radar return, as well as its glaringly non-stealthy engines. The body of the aircraft is also significantly less stealthy than American counterparts, giving off far larger radar returns from the sides and rear. This, however, is in line with the Russian philosophy of operating aircraft only within the safety of ground-based air defenses. The Russians simply couldn't afford to field an all-aspect stealth aircraft, and thus focused only on frontal stealth. The aircraft also appears to lack another quality of a fifth-generation fighter, data link capabilities. While tests are underway to have the Su-57 speak with
This is interesting, man. I'm just like, I'm just thinking, like, when Russia says that they're doing something and they got something, I take it with a pinch of salt. I really do.
This is far from the capabilities of the US F-35, which can operate as a sort of mini air control platform in place of traditional AWACS, speaking with a variety of friendly aircraft and helping guide weapons and planes to their targets. However, the Su-57 does have some design advantages over real fifth-generation aircraft in America's arsenal. For one, it's far more maneuverable than any US aircraft, and this is a big clue to the fact that the Russians know this is not a peer to an American fifth-generation fighter. That's because the super maneuverability is not a design feature of a traditional fifth-gen aircraft, which are designed to operate as assassins, not knife fighters. F-35s and F-22s are built to engage enemy targets from beyond visual range with advanced AIM-120D missiles that have ranges in excess of 90 miles.
we've seen this stat in a different video. This is crazy. This is mental. A missile that can go 90 miles, bro, from a goddamn jet as well.
Not only is this missile range outside the range of most other enemy missiles, but the stealth characteristics of an F-22 or F-35 means that an enemy being fired on won't even be able to detect the stealth fighter until it's much, much closer, estimated at about 3 dozen or so miles.
Crazy.
With limited internal payloads of 6 to 8 missiles, stealth aircraft should never be involved in a dogfight. Thus, super maneuverability is only desired if you have reason to believe your aircraft will be forced into dogfights because it's not stealthy enough or has the targeting capabilities to engage in a long-range fight. So while the Su-57 is capable of some truly impressive acrobatic feats, this will be meaningless in over 90% of engagements against an adversary such as the US Air Force. Further giving clues to the fact that the Su-57 is not a true stealth aircraft are its cheek-mounted radars, which allow it to guide missiles to target at far more extreme angles than its American counterparts. This allows the Su-57 to turn further away from its target than an American plane and still maintain a good radar lock. But you only build this capability if you expect your aircraft to have to fight at close ranges where extreme maneuvers are required, or if you expect your aircraft to have to notch or defend against enemy missiles while guiding its own to the target. It's likely the Russian knew from the start the Felon would be detectable at far greater range than US aircraft and would need the ability to maneuver away from incoming missiles while maintaining a lock for its own.
They've literally worked on their like strengths, they strength their weakness pretty much. It's like because it can't be that stealthy, they have to make it be maneuverable.
Despite this, the Russian Ministry of Defense claims the Su-57 is not just a match, but superior to the F-22 and F-35. If that's the case, then where is Russia's premier aircraft when its army needs it the most in the skies over Ukraine? First, if all claims about the Su-57 are true, Russia simply wouldn't be able to field them in large enough numbers to make much of a difference. Currently, there are only about a dozen or so Su-57s in operation, and most of these are test aircraft not meant for combat duty. This likely only leaves just over half a dozen that could carry weapons to target successfully. But there's no evidence outside of Russian claims that this has actually happened. The best the world can manage is a video of an aircraft with a similar shape to the Su-57 captured on video early in the war carrying out an air-to-ground attack. Most experts agree that if the Su-57 is truly engaged in combat with Ukraine, then it's not seeing frontline duty. Rather, the plane is likely only firing standoff attack munitions at long ranges from the safety of Russian airspace. Armed with the right weapons, the Su-57 could potentially stay out of range of Ukrainian air defenses and destroy them, as claimed by Russia, but there's practically no chance that Russia is willing to risk flying its flagship aircraft over the front lines where it could potentially be shot down, causing Russia heaps of international embarrassment, at least more than it's earned so far. This is doubly true when you consider that Russia also fears Western weapons employed by Ukraine, and knows for a fact.
I don't know, I thought Russia was had a lot of good equipment and jets and military gear. But I watched a video recently on them in Ukraine and their military arsenal. And it was shocking. It was actually shocking. They're giving fucking these awful guns, awful old tanks. I just don't, I can't believe it now that they have these advanced, crazy, insane jets.
That Western nations
I literally can't believe it.
Intelligence to Ukraine's armed forces. So why is the Su-57 not in operation over Ukraine? First, there's simply not enough of them to be worth employing. Russia has goals of just under 100 of the fighter by 2027, something that is completely unrealistic given extreme Western sanctions against the nation. If your military is having to strip washers and microwaves from microchips, you're not going to be fielding 100 stealth fighters in 5 years. Secondly, the plane was almost certainly not nearly as capable as Russia claims it to be. And the last thing Russia wants is the embarrassment of having one shot down by Ukraine. Russia has lost an estimated 144 aircraft in the war, with 24 of those.
How many?
Russia has lost an estimated 144 aircraft in the war, with 24 of those being frontline manned fighters or ground attack aircraft. The threat environment is too high for Russia to risk the PR disaster that would ensure if a felon was shot down by the Ukrainians.
Another dope-ass video. I don't know with Putin and Russia no more, bro. I don't feel like they've got the equipment they say they have, or it's just not working to the point that they say they have. I think if your aircraft is that superior, you would actually use it. But, you know, it's Russia, so who knows with them. But really good video. Enjoyed that one. If you guys got any videos you want me to react to, let them down in the comment section below. I'll definitely check them out. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.